Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the gymnasium here at Milford High School as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. This is Tim Coet on the call as we continue our coverage of the 2019 MIAA playoff tournament. Tonight, the Scarlet Hawks boys volleyball team enters into the semifinal round of this D1 Central bracket. And here in the Milford gym to face off against Milford tonight, a very familiar opponent here in this round of the playoffs. It is the Natick Redhawks. Milford, the number 2 seed in these playoffs. This year, Natick, the number 6 seed after finishing up the regular season at 12-4. And so Milford an opportunity to play the semifinal round here on their home floor this year. Just about 12 months ago to the day, Milford and Natick squared off in the D1 Central semis last year. It ended up being played out at Natick High School, and the result was not a good one for the Scarlet Hawks. A 3-set sweep at the hands of the Red Hawks that ended Milford's season. And so since then, the long process to get back to this point was on for this Milford program. A long and intensive offseason. These players on this Milford team improving themselves, working hard to get back to peak condition. And after a dominant regular season and a very strong showing through 2 rounds of the playoffs, they've earned their way right back into the semifinals. And once again, needing to get past this Natick team if they hope to play for a sectional final. And as we mentioned on the Natick side, not quite the same win total that the team had a year ago. They were a very high seed in the playoff tournament last year, dropping down to the 6th seed this year, but do not let that lower seed fool you. This is every bit as strong a team as Milford faced last season, and that was something that Milford had a chance to witness up close and personal just a couple of weeks ago. These two teams played back on May 16th here in Milford in a regular season contest. And though it was a close game throughout, Natick was able to come out on top with a margin of 3-1. So Natick has had the upper hand in this matchup through the vast majority of the times these two teams have played. We'll delve into the history of these two teams matching up both in the regular season and in the playoffs as we continue this broadcast, because it is an extensive playoff history between these two teams. These are two proud D1 Central teams that have a long playoff pedigree, have faced off against each other many times in the playoffs, and looking to add another exciting chapter to what has been a terrific rivalry in Central Massachusetts volleyball. We cannot wait to get this game started for you tonight. Once again, streaming this game live both on milfordtv.net and on the live stream app. So if you're here with us live, buckle up and get set. We should have an outstanding playoff matchup for you. It is the Milford Scarlet Hawks taking on the Natick Redhawks, and we will have the start of set number 1 for you when we come back next here on Milford TV. Once again, the Milford gym is rocking, ready to go for another playoff matchup. It is the last volleyball match that will be played here on the Milford hardwood in 2019 for this boys volleyball team, looking to give their home floor a proper send-off, looking for an elusive W against a very tough Natick Redhawks team. And this Milford squad ready to go as they break out of their huddle. A few final words from the Natick Redhawks as they continue to huddle up on the right side of the floor. Tim Coet here on the call with you, along with a terrific Milford TV crew, excited to bring you this playoff coverage. This is already the second semifinal match that has taken place here on the Milford floor today, as Milford technically served as the neutral site for this semifinal round, although it is anything but neutral as we get this game started here tonight. But the earlier matchup featured Nipmuc versus Lincoln Sudbury, and it ended up being a walkover for Lincoln Sudbury. Despite coming in as the number 13 seed, they were able to dispatch Nipmuc very quickly. That game started at 4 o'clock. We got here to set up for this game at 5 o'clock, and the match had already come to conclusion. So Lincoln Sudbury dropping Nipmuc in straight sets to advance to the sectional final. So they await the winner of this game here tonight. A lot of the Lincoln Sudbury players have stuck around in the stands to do some early scouting. And meanwhile, all eyes shift on to Milford and Natick as this match is set to get underway. And Lucas Caetano right now prowling across that back line, waiting to get the first serve of this match started. Milford has not dropped a set yet in these 2019 playoffs. They swept the number 15 seed Keefe Tech in round 1. and they were able to come through with a 3-set sweep here on Tuesday night of this past week, taking on St. John's of Shrewsbury. So looking to keep that momentum rolling as Milford and Natick are ready to get this match started. The crowd quiets down just for a moment as Lucas Caetano releases the first serve of this semifinal match. And quickly coming from the left side for Natick, and they are able to get the first kill of the match. And that is Brendan Carroll. We saw an awful lot of Brendan Carroll in this matchup back in mid-May, dominant on the outside. So Milford will have to be aware of the power of Carroll all night long. And so the first point goes to the Red Hawks, and now on serve is one of the captains of this squad, Brett Olin. And a tough deflection off the hands of Milford, and it goes out of play. And so the mini run here for Natick out of the gates. And quickly another serve in, this time a clean hit by Tiago Carvalho, and Milford answers from the left side to get on the board, and that eases some early tension on the floor. A quick substitution from head coach Andrew Mainini sends Gabe Brandow out onto the floor. Tiago Carvalho now behind the service line with a 2-1 score here in the early points of set number 1. Carvalho's serve to the back line. Now set up on the right side, softly drifted over, but Milford able to get the block. Joao Boaventura leading the way. And so tied up now. Milford, again, despite that 3-1 final score when these two teams met in the regular season, they were in it in every set that they played in that match, as that ball caught Zach Brown by surprise on the right side of the floor for Milford, and that pushes the Red Hawks back on top. Milford actually had an opportunity to claim the first set in that regular season matchup between these two teams. They had set point, they were not able to convert, and Natick was able to escape with a win in that first set. Milford ended up pushing it to 4, but that was all. And so looking to make the adjustments as Brandow mistimed that jump but was able to recover. Now another blast from the left side from Natick, and this time Milford teams up for the block. Brandow had his hands in there as well. Gabe Brandow, the junior, has made a big impact over the course of this season, and especially in these last couple of playoff games. Tough hit off the hands of Waltzman, the libero for the Red Hawks. That ball drops in for a point for the Red Hawks. And we continue to shift the lead here through these early points. Again, a familiar refrain from what we saw when these two teams met last year. Here's Baptiste on the serve for the Red Hawks now. Milford will set it up for Boaventura, and he was able to get the clearance over the net. Boaventura took a very hard shot right to the face in that victory against St. John's on Tuesday, and showed Zdeno Chara-like toughness, did not want to leave the floor, ended up being fine, and none the worse for wear as this game gets started tonight. Boaventura now on serve. Sends it right to the middle of the back row. Nice diving play up front from Natick. Now here's Orellana for Brown, and that one could not be played by Sam Waltzman. And Milford now is able to claim a 5-4 lead. Everyone in the student section standing. It's a luau theme for the jungle here. Another nice block up front, that time by Tiago Philadelphia. And the violation at the net for the Red Hawks allows Milford to jump on top now 6-4. And you can see Brett Olin now on the floor for Natick, trying to settle everybody down, expecting this to be a long, hard-fought battle. Boaventura ready for another serve. Little miscommunication on the back there, but set up well. Carvalho has that one deflect hard off the hands, and it goes out of play. And that breaks up the run on Boaventura's serve. And my apologies to Brett Olin. I do believe I mispronounced his last name the first time around in the regular season matchup. But certainly demonstrated a lot of strong leadership skills for this Natick squad when we did have a chance to see them in action in the regular season. Zach Brown getting his hands on that, trying to come up with the block, but couldn't quite get all of it. And knotted up now at 6. These two teams do such a good job of counter-punching. As the serve that time is delivered long from Natick's captain, Will Landry. 3 captains on this squad, Landry, Olin, and also Connor Reardon. All 3 play a key role in all phases of the game. And now Matt Daig, who was so good on serve in the game against St. John's here on Tuesday, put the team on an extended run in the first set that really set the tone for the match. Drops that serve in right at the feet of Waltzman. He's able to play it. Now the return from the left side is good for Connor Reardon. Brief moment of indecision amongst the officials, but they eventually do award the point to the Red Hawks. And we're tied up at 7. Once again, just as we saw in that quarterfinal round matchup, it is a 4-person officiating crew, officials on both back lines and on each side of the net. So plenty of eyes on this all-important match, the winner moving on to the D1 Central Finals. Serve away from Connor Reardon, and now the blast from Clayton Pickett, and the roar after he gets the kill. That signature style from Clayton Pickett. And the lead exchanges once again. And now here is the captain for the Scarlet Hawks, Zach Brown. Joao Boaventura, Zach Brown, and Tiago Carvalho, 3 sturdy leaders at the helm of this program. Hard blast. And that one deflected off the front row of Milford. The shot coming from Brendan Carroll. And so now it will be the libero, Sam Waltzman. Delivers the looping serve, and Zach Brown off balance, able to play it. And then a tricky bounce off the net. Tiago Philadelphio couldn't catch up to it. And that played just a little bit out of control for Milford, and I think Brown realized after the fact he would have been better served leaving that ball for Tiago Carvalho to play. Now Orellana sets that one up again a bit awkwardly. This time Philadelphia was able to get to it, and with the fingertips kisses it over the net for the kill. Tied up at 9. And back on serve now comes Caetano. Dropping that one in to be played by Connor Reardon, and now a blast that finds a bare spot behind the back line. In by a good margin. And now a 10-9 Red Hawks lead. Here's Boaventura now, the play for Pickett. And this time, Natick able to block. We saw it at times in the match against St. John's. Milford sometimes gives up a little bit of height up front. So it's all about timing to get those shots past the lengthier players on the other side of the floor. And that time, Milford was able to do it to perfection, cutting it back to a 1-point deficit. And now back on serve comes Carvalho. Both benches on their feet at their respective corners of the gym. And Carvalho gets the deflection off the hands of the back row. Could not be returned. And just like that, tied again. A series of ties and lead changes. It knotted up at 11 as Carvalho sends this one into the hands of Waltzman. Now hard deflection, and that's going to go just too far. Zach Brown able to dig it. But such hard contact that it drifted it all the way past the back line on the Natick side. Nice effort from Brown. Good hand-eye coordination to catch up to that blast. Now Caetano absorbs the serve. Here's Boaventura, perfectly placed. Natick spaced out. Boaventura read the floor and gets the easy kill. Milford's kills leader. And now Orellana sends that one wide to the near side. Daniel Baptiste will serve out with Natick on top by a point. Boaventura pushes that one, and a sprawling attempt by Brett Olin. That ball may have gone long had he not made the play on it, but took the chance. Natick head coach Peter Sujo with a couple of words for his back line before this next serve. Tied up at 13. As that ball pops straight up, right back now to Reardon. And a nice diving play again for Carvalho. Now here's Philadelphia, and that is long. Now the serve from Will Landry. And that ball just out. Natick swarming around that sideline, but it dropped just outside. And Natick now up by 2. This Redhawks team can go on a run in a hurry. And a misplay up front as Milford tried to send that setup cross court. And all of a sudden now a 3-point lead for Natick. This is about the biggest lead we've seen in this set. Orellana now a clean setup for Philadelphia, but he gets rejected at the net. Olin was there, Garrett Schmidt was there, and we'll see our first timeout called in this semifinal match. It'll come from head coach Andrew Mainini as Milford has fallen behind now. The biggest margin so far in this first set as Natick takes a 17-13 lead. And as we talked about in the intro, so much history between these two teams in the playoffs. In doing research for this game, these teams have been in the playoffs virtually every single year, going back as far as I could go in the records, which was as far back as 2007. The only year that one of these teams missed the playoffs was the Scarlet Hawks when they missed the playoffs in 2016. Other than that, they've been there. And more often than not, they've met up against one another. Again, in that time, going back to 2007, these two teams have met head-to-head in the playoffs 5 times. And in those 5 meetings, the Natick Redhawks have won 4 out of those 5. So the history in this matchup does not favor the Scarlet Hawks. The only win for Milford in this matchup came back in the 2013 season, part of back-to-back years in which Milford advanced all the way to the state championship game. And I do believe that Milford's head coach Andrew Mainini was on that 2013 team that made it to the state finals, so he knows what it takes to beat this Natick squad. Trying to impart that onto his team, but meanwhile, this deficit continues to grow coming out of the timeout. Now 18-13. Milford needs to stop the bleeding in a hurry. Here's Orellana now, the setup for Brown, gets the deflection, but Natick able to recover again. Popped back over the net by Landry. Now the blast from Brown. Waltzman gets to it. From the left side now, rejected by Brown. And finally, the rally ends with a Milford point. Best rally of the match so far, and Milford certainly an opportunity now to build some momentum off of that. They'll send Matt Daig back onto the floor to take over serve. And this Milford crowd right back to life. The student section has not sat. The stand's completely full here on the near side. A lot of the alumni taking in the game from the bleachers behind the Milford bench. And Milford able to take that deflection off the roof, and Boaventura returns it over. Now Brown absorbs that. Orellana collides with Philadelphia, and a costly mistake there. Orellana traveling a little too far, colliding with Philadelphia. It may have actually been Philadelphia out of position, as he is the one who gets some words from his head coach after the fact. And the two right now working it out on the floor. 19-14 now, the Natick lead. A line drive serve, and that is out to the far side, just barely. Back down to a 4-point margin, not at all insurmountable for Milford, but needing to find a groove again. The serve now from Zach Brown just makes it over the net. Waltzman plays it. Now set up for Carroll. And Carvalho sticks the hand out. And now checking with his net front players to see if that took a deflection. As again, that had a lot on it. That might have traveled over the back line had it not come in contact with Carvalho. Now here's Brown. And that gets blocked by the front row of the Redhawks, and now things get dicey. Natick takes a 21-15 lead, just 4 points away from a set victory. Waltzman continues the serve. Carvalho pops it right to the net. Orellana pushes it down for a sorely needed Milford point. And Lucas Caetano back out onto the floor. He rallies the troops as he heads back behind the service line. Milford needing to cut into what is now a 5-point deficit without a lot of room left to work in this first set. Waltzman gets to that Caetano serve again. That thunderous shot of Brendan Carroll. Milford able to block it, but the deflection goes out of play. And the Redhawks go right back on serve with their captain, Brett Olin. And he wastes no time, sends it to the near side. That was in. A bad judgment call by Milford to let that one drop. It was clearly in. And Coach Mainini has no choice but to call another timeout, as Natick is now just 2 points away from taking this opening set. We will take the timeout as well. Again, 23-16. It is Natick over Milford in set number 1 of the D1 Central semifinals right here on Milford TV. Both teams back out of the timeout. Olin ready to continue the serve for the Redhawks. And is unable to clear the net. And Milford will certainly take it. And Thiago Carvalho, the senior captain, takes over on serve, with Milford trailing now by 6. Olin will set it up across the way for Landry, and Carvalho shading towards that near sideline, couldn't change course quickly enough. And now the Redhawks stare up at set point. And the serve will come from Will Landry. Carvalho finds it. Orellana sets it up for Boaventura. And the point goes to the Redhawks. And a quick end to this first set as Natick is able to take it 25-17. And so Milford will need to regroup and reset as they trail now for the first time in this 2019 playoff run. And so we will flip sides of the floor, and we will have the start of set number 2 for you in just a moment. Stay with us here on this playoff coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. Well, not the start the Scarlet Hawks were hoping for in the semifinal matchup. A 25-17 win for Natick in the first set puts the visitors out in front. Natick looking to get back into the sectional final game. That's familiar territory for the Natick Redhawks. Natick able to match up against Lincoln Sudbury in the sectional final last year. Natick won it, entered into the state bracket where they eventually bowed out in the state semis to Needham. So looking to match up against Lincoln Sudbury once again, who waits for the winner of this one as the second set gets started. And the Redhawks will take the point. Milford trying to buy the deflection call, but did not work. Brown, a high deflection. Philadelphia pushes it back over all the way to the net, and Milford able to swat it down. The Hawks hoping to play from ahead more in this set. A lot of lead changes until about the midway point in the first set. And then Natick was able to get separation. And meanwhile, some maintenance being done on both sides of the floor. It is a steamy early evening here in the Milford gym. Again, already a full match has been played here. Warm, humid temperatures outside. It is a hot one here in the gym, so a battle of stamina for these two teams as well. And after the sweat gets mopped up off the floor, the serve delivered long for the Scarlet Hawks, and they cannot give away those easy opportunities. They need to take care of business more on their serve. Caetano, a nice play from the back, and Boaventura rifles it down in between a trio of Natick players. Waltzman, Olin, and Carroll could not catch up to the speed of that Boaventura shot. And it ties it up at 2. And Thiago Carvalho now with a deep breath before he releases a serve. Push to the front row. Olin deflects it to the left. Caetano, a leaping play. Now Brandau with his back to the net returns. Olin pops it up. Baptiste with a strong shot to the back that gets past Thiago Carvalho. And Natick able to jump on top 3-2 now. Both coaches right now prowling their respective sidelines. As Baptiste sends it to the back, very close to being out. Brown played it. Now set up for Boaventura. Baptiste gets to it first. Now Olin sets it up behind, and Will Landry drops it in. And a 2-point lead now for the Natick Redhawks. Caetano now pushes it up front, right over the net. As Orellana tried to keep Natick off balance, did not work. And Milford spaced out too far to react. And right now the Milford fans trying to will their team back into this match. We're at dangerous territory right now. Natick with a set win and now starting to expand a lead early in the second set. Milford needing to stay in this mentally and emotionally. Difficult to do if you're going to drop behind in consecutive sets, but Boaventura puts a stop to the run, at least for now. Now here's Josh Orellana. Olin will set it up on the left side and blocked well up front. Brandau in on the block once again, really his specialty. Now from the right side, a hard deflection and out of play to the far sideline right in front of Coach Sujo, who rolls the ball back into his server. A 2-point differential on the scoreboard in set number 2 as Landry serves and sends it out on the near sideline. Good court awareness that time by the Scarlet Hawks. Milford once again with the all-black look in the playoffs. They continue to have the LZ on that upper left corner of their uniform in honor of their late head coach, Linda Zakili, trying to channel the will of Coach Zakili in this all-important match. Good effort for Thiago Philadelphia as he came streaking towards the near sideline, dangerously close to our broadcast setup. Very close to the action here in the Milford gym. But we wouldn't want it any other way, bringing more live playoff coverage here on Milford TV. Here's Philadelphia, another chance, and gets it out of the reach of Waltzman. Waltzman was backpedaling, tried to come in on the headlong dive, but out of his reach. And Matt Daig will be back on serve with Milford down by just a point. Line drive serve met by Waltzman. Now popped over. A trio goes diving for it. Daig with a saving play. Gets it back over the net. Milford fans love it. Now Boaventura, the high setup. Orellana pushes it for Brown, and Brown sends it long. And in the end, Natick takes the point despite maximum effort up at the net for the Scarlet Hawks. Desperation play made, but the point to the Red Hawks, who are now up 8-6. This Milford crowd trying to stay engaged, an even larger crowd than what we saw for the quarterfinals against St. John's, and they'll cheer for that. The hard deflection off into the alumni section. Eight for Natick, 7 for the Scarlet Hawks. And onto the floor now comes Randy Monahan. Don't believe we saw Randy on the floor in that quarterfinal matchup. Releases the serve, met by Carroll. He'll get it right back. Now pops it over softly. Monahan plays it. Now here's Philadelphia. And that froze everyone on the Natick side of the floor. Dropped in front of Will Landry. And that's going to tie the second set up at 8. And now the first timeout taken by Coach Sujo. Natick calls the timeout with this second set knotted up at 8 apiece. It is Natick on top in the match, 1-0, but still just getting started here in this semifinal round of the D1 Central bracket. Stay with us here on Milford TV. Milford starting to give some pushback. Natick forced to call a timeout. And Monahan continues on serve for Milford. Again, delivers it to that left side of the back row, and Brendan Carroll, or excuse me, that was Will Landry right in his wheelhouse. Overpowering shot to the Milford side, and Natick will jump right back on top, and now we'll see Brett Olin on serve once again. And Olin too strong on his first serve. This Milford crowd has been outstanding. You think back to the last few basketball seasons and how the atmosphere has returned to the glory days here in Milford. We've heard Coach Seaver talk about it all the time, the intensity that the fans have brought to this gym, and we are seeing it now play out with this volleyball team as well. Just outstanding fan support from the community and from the student section as well. Absolutely jam-packed in the stands, not a seat to be had. And a closely played set continuing to develop here in set 2. Natick on serve, and once again Natick unable to find their form on serve. They've delivered the last couple long. And Milford will certainly take it as it ties this second set up at 10. Back to Carvalho. The setup pushed across. Boaventura, the sky-high set, gets it back, gets the deflection off the front. Now Waltzman with two hands. And now the bounce off the net. Orellana. Boaventura with the turnaround jump shot. And now a blast way too strong for Landry. And Milford will reclaim the lead in the set at 11-10. Serve away, drifting towards the front. Now the rejection at the net for Milford. Olin will now try it from the right side. Milford thought that one was long. It was very close, but the officials confer and award the point on the Natick side. Very, very close. As the emotions continue to ramp up in this match, it's going to be key for these teams to maintain their mechanics, stay accurate with their strength and their placement. The Red Hawks back on top now, 12-11. This was the point in the match where Natick started to gain separation in the first set. Orellana will try it for Boaventura, and that one in. Joao Boaventura so good at finding those weak spots. Josh Orellana patiently waits for the signal. And now ready to serve out. And the quick push over by Olin. We've seen that move many times this season out of Orellana himself. Now sees it executed on the other side. A lot of tricks up both of these teams' sleeves. Boaventura too long. And I beg your pardon. The officials calling for the deflection. Yeah, the Milford fans love it. Natick not so much. This is a decidedly Milford crowd. The St. John's fans showed up in pretty decent numbers here on Tuesday night, at times making their voices heard. We have not heard much cheering from any Natick fans that may be in the house here tonight. As Milford jumps back on top 14-13 after that return from Natick. Drifted wide to the near side. And Joao Boaventura right back on serve. And meanwhile, some disciplinary measures going on the Natick side of the floor. Can be a struggle for anyone to keep their composure with these kind of high stakes. Soft return from Natick. Orellana for Brown. And that one in on the far side, right on that line. And Coach Sujo doesn't like where this is going, calls another Natick timeout. Milford finds themselves on top here in set number 2, 15-13. And so we will take another timeout as everyone catches their breath here in this D1 Central semifinal matchup, which we're happy to bring you right here on Milford TV. The Milford fans keeping themselves entertained during that timeout. The music pumping, the fans in peak playoff form. And the Scarlet Hawks now ready to continue this second set action, up by a couple of points. Philadelphia able to adjust. Now Boaventura from the center of the floor could not clear the net. And one thing we have just not seen out of this Scarlet Hawks team in these matchups against Natick is that ability to go on that lengthy run. We've seen it so many times against their Tri-Valley League opponents this year. We saw it certainly against Keefe Tech in the first round. But trying to find that extended 5, 6, 7, 8-point run to give themselves some separation. A chance to do it again as this student section once again is rocking, as is our camera. Our cameraman for the game today, Mike Sperling, with his work cut out for him right in the midst of the jungle. As Daig sends the serve away. And Natick loading up for the shot was Brendan Carroll, and changed up speeds. Milford couldn't recover. Puts it right back down to a 1-point margin with now Sam Waltzman on serve. And sends it into the net. The service game has not been strong for Natick in the second set. They were very clean in set number one, but a lot of long serves and now failing to get that one past the net. This helps Milford out. Now Monahan, quick serve. Now the blast. That just hugs the far sideline. Once again, seeing that raw power come from these Natick outside hitters. 17-16, a razor-thin margin in the second set. Here's Philadelphia, got the deflection up front, and the diving play keeps it alive. That was Connor Reardon who kept it going. Now Orellana, the setup for Philadelphia. That punched back by Baptiste. Tipped over, and now the point halted. It goes to the Scarlet Hawks. The violation up front for the Red Hawks, and we're going to see now another warning issue, the yellow card on the Natick side. These are two teams that play with their emotions on their sleeve, and we've seen a couple of times this Natick side losing their composure. And now here is Caetano looking to build on a 2-point lead. Waltzman, and now that one hugging the net. The Waltzman, a diving play. Now two-handed over, some athletic play on the Natick side. And Clayton Pickett loads up, and he changes speeds. Catches Natick flat-footed. Outstanding play from the senior. And a little flare out on the floor after he gets the kill. And the Natick bench right now not all too pleased with the officiating. You see some of the assistant coaches right now barking at the official by the scorer's table. This is the biggest lead Milford has had in either of the two sets so far, 19-16. Caetano, tough serve there, not what Caetano was looking for. Milford trying to really seize control, but a rare falter from the service line for Caetano. And now the student section again trying to do their part. Here's Pickett again, Waltzman digs it. Now the setup on the right side and off the hands of Orellana. A good return from Landry. And just that quickly, it's back down to a 1-point game in the late stages of the second set. Crucial points upcoming. Now Boaventura. Landry did all he could do. He timed the jump just right, but that ball stayed on the Natick side of the floor. And Milford now up 20-8. Off the Carvalho serve. Pushed to the left side and rejected up front. Orellana let some emotion pour out as the Scarlet Hawks now close in 4 points away from evening up this match. 21-18, and Carvalho sends the serve into the net. Carvalho so candid when I talked to him prior to the start of the playoffs about some of the failures of this team in the regular season and how they needed to learn from those failures. Talked about their final regular season match against Lawrence. And the direct quote from Thiago Carvalho was, "We choked pretty hard in that match." An ultimate leader, one of 3 terrific leaders that serve as captains on this team to keep this group pulling in the right direction. Milford now 22-19 out in front, and Orellana with the serve. The setup from the right side, and Orellana, the hard deflection off the roof and right through the entrance. And this not out of reach by any means for the Red Hawks right now at 22-20. Landry with the serve. And Milford couldn't keep it alive, and right back down to a 1-point margin again. And Coach Mainini does not want to leave anything to chance. He wants to get everybody back on the same page. The Milford timeout called. And right down to the wire here in this second set. It is Milford 22, Natick 21. Natick trying to take a stranglehold on the match. Milford looking to even things up. Who will prevail? We'll find out right on the other side of this break here on Milford TV. A big serve upcoming for Will Landry. Milford clinging to a 1-point lead here in set 2. Again, the student section in full throat. Boaventura tries to push it over. Olin reached underneath the net to try to keep that play alive. Did not sneak that one by the watchful eye of the officiating crew. And Milford now back up to a 2-point margin. Boaventura now on serve. 2 points away from evening this matchup. And the block up front and a diving play. I think that was Brandow to keep it alive. And now the cross-court shot wide to the near side. And set point now for the Scarlet Hawks. (24-21). Boaventura looking to end it right here. Serve away. Now pushed over. Carvalho keeps it alive, goes crashing into the official stand. Gets back into the play now as Reardon sends the blast deflected off the front row, and now the official will readjust his perch. Carvalho went back first into one of the supports. But looks to be okay now, 24-22. Reardon sends the serve away. Carvalho meets it. Here's Brown. Can't get it past the front. Now push to the back, and that one long. About a foot past that back line. And Milford with a couple of set point opportunities, but now getting dangerous at 24-23. And we'll see another timeout called as these two teams huddle up to talk things over. It really was fascinating looking back through the history of these teams in the postseason. Again, so much success, and when you look at this Natick team, since 2007, Natick has won a state championship. They've also won 3 sectional titles. They won the state championship in 2007. Obviously, the sectional title that year as well. They also claimed the D1 Central in 2010 and 2018, just last year. And so it's actually 4 sectional titles, I should say. They won it in 2017 and 2018. So plenty of success in the playoffs for Natick, and for the Scarlet Hawks, they really hit that golden age of playoff success over those 2012-2013 seasons when they won back-to-back sectional titles, made it to the state championship game both years, but came up just short in their bid for a state title in both of those years. So looking to change that, they hope this season, but in a dogfight right now, up 24-23 in set 2. And the serve carefully delivered by Natick. Here's Philadelphia now, and gets that one past the reach of Will Landry, and Milford able to claim the set victory, 25-23. What a battle it was in this second set, but Milford emerges, and most importantly, they even up this Division I Central semifinal at a set apiece. So all evened up now as the two teams once again exchange sides of the floor. We will take a very quick timeout and we will have the start of set number 3 when we return next again on this coverage of Milford boys volleyball in the 2019 MIAA playoffs right here on Milford TV. This best of 5 sets has now become a best of 3 as we get started in the third set, dead even. Natick claiming set 1 by a margin of 25-17. Milford just edging out Natick in the second set, 25-23 to tie things up. And now Clayton Pickett with a rocket and unleashes the fury afterwards. Goes right to the sideline, gives a thumbs up to the alumni as well. And an exchange of points here to get us started in the third set. Tim Coet here with you in the midst of the 2019 MIAA tournament. Tiago Carvalho, outstanding diving play, one-handed kept that alive. Milford returns. Now the setup comes from the right for Natick, and it's blocked once again by Brandow. And you're starting to see a little bit more confidence exude from this Milford team, and if they start to get rolling and start to feel it, that is a dangerous situation for Natick. Carvalho on serve and too strong. This match getting started just after 7 o'clock in the evening after the first semifinal game was played here in Milford at 4. And that semifinal match did not last long as Brandow pushes that return over. Now the two-hander on the Natick side. Here's Boaventura, and that will be sent long. It was the Nipmuc Warriors matching up against Lincoln Sudbury. And a match that was over as quickly as it began. Nipmuc was able to upset the number 1 seed Assabet Valley in the quarterfinals to earn their spot in that matchup, but they were no match for Lincoln Sudbury. Nipmuc the 9 seed against the 13 seed Lincoln Sudbury, so a lot of upsets on that other side of the bracket. But ultimately it was Lincoln Sudbury to emerge, and again a lot of their players here in the Milford gym sizing up their potential opponents in the district finals, which will take place at Shrewsbury High School on Tuesday of next week. We're tied up at 3 here in the early going of set 3. Orellana, a good setup for Brown. Reardon tried to go up to meet him, but couldn't. And Milford takes the lead at 4-3. Now the quick setup on the right side, and Carvalho could not come in quickly enough. Orellana moves to the center of the floor, sets up Boaventura. Couple of hard deflections, and still Reardon was able to return. Good reflexes. And now the blast right at the net for Boaventura, but couldn't clear. And it's a 5-4 Natick lead. Daniel Baptiste now to serve. And a bad read for Caetano as he spiked that one right down into the ground. Now Carvalho the first to get to this. The setup by Orellana, perfect for Boaventura. And a little trickery up front, helping to keep Natick back on their heels. The Hawks keep it close. Boaventura will now serve. And now Boaventura set to continue. Soft serve that time for Boaventura. And the tip off the hands of Tiago Philadelphia drifts out of play. Now Landry. And Brown set up over the middle. Brown hasn't seemed to be quite 100% comfortable in this match. Trying to work out the kinks. And in the meantime, another bad serve from the Red Hawks. Their service game was an issue in that second set. Now the dig for Waltzman. A blast from the left side and effective for Connor Reardon. We've made the comparisons all season long. Easy comparisons to make between this Milford boys volleyball team and the Milford boys soccer team from this past fall, with so many faces the same on the two teams. That boys soccer team so dominant in the regular season. Looked to have a long playoff road in front of them that was cut far too short. And so those are more lessons to be learned for this boys volleyball team. Keeping the emotions in check, being ready for those key moments. You never know when they're going to develop. Now the quick pushover by Orellana. Natick was ready. Hard deflection off the front row, but easily playable for Boaventura. Now Philadelphia. And the double hit on the Natick side on the bounce off the net. And again, Brett Olin mounts a quick defense. And the Milford fans letting Olin have it. Olin at times has been very boisterous in his complaints to the officials. It is now a 10-8 lead for the Red Hawks. The serve away for Caetano. Just stays on the Milford side. Did not get the love from the top of the net that time. Now Carvalho steps in front of Caetano to make the initial play. And Boaventura, his shot blocked. And Natick, despite sometimes playing right on the very edge of their composure, find themselves ahead here in set 3, and another long return for Milford. And it's all of a sudden a 5-point Natick lead, and Milford needing to head to the sidelines to regroup once again. And Coach Mainini right in the center of that huddle, trying to make the adjustments. A chess match between Andrew Mainini on the Milford side and Peter Sujo, the head coach of Natick, on the other side of the floor. Both coaches in animated conversations with their group. We'll let the rest of this timeout play out, and we'll be back with more in just a moment here on Milford TV. Let's go Milford from the crowd before we continue. Milford in some trouble now here in the third set, down 13-8. As Natick delivers the serve, Orellana pushes it across for Boaventura. His shot blocked, but the deflection goes wide to the far sideline. And a quick exchange on the floor between Clayton Pickett and Gabe Brandow, who returns to the front row for the Scarlet Hawks, with Tiago Carvalho behind the service line. Carvalho's serve met by the libero Waltzman. Now his counterpart Carvalho makes the play on the other side of the net. And Boaventura drops that one in. Cutting it to a 3-point margin. Coach Mainini imploring his team to keep the energy level up on the floor. Good serve from Carvalho. Here's Landry, and Orellana with the rejection. Brandau there as well in support. And now we'll see the timeout called on the Natick side as Milford has answered the call. They've cut it back down to a 2-point differential on the scoreboard. So 13-11. One of these teams will swing the lead into their favor. The Hawks have not led overall in the match yet as Natick was able to take the first set, Milford countering. And that right now, the big difference between when these two teams played last. Again, that match that took place in mid-May, despite Milford having opportunities to take the first set, they were not able to finish it off. Natick ended up taking the first 2 sets in that match before Milford was able to answer with a win in the third, but then ran out of steam in the 4th set, and that is ultimately where that match ended. Milford was not able to win a single set when these two teams met up in this Division I semifinal round a year ago, so already now a stark contrast in how this playoff matchup is starting to unfold. The teams return now out of the timeout. Again, 13-11. Milford looking to continue to close that gap. Another serve now from Carvalho. Waltzman pushes it right to the net. Natick returns. Now Boaventura had that come right back to him. A 3-point lead for the Red Hawks. A serve from the junior Brendan Carroll. Now Boaventura with a blast, and Waltzman with an excellent dig. Now pushed back over. Monahan took that deflection awkwardly. The whistle stops play. And the call coming across the court from the official in front of the scorer's table. And the end result, a point for Milford, and confused faces on the Natick side. They do not like the explanation, but they accept it. Narrows it down to a 14-12 score. Josh Orellana on serve, and a short serve again for the Scarlet Hawks. Mistakes you just don't want to make at this stage of the match. A serve from Baptiste, nice play on the back from Caetano. Now a clean setup coming from the right side, and it splits the back row. Neither Carvalho nor Orellana could make the play. And right back up to a 4-point Natick lead. Daniel Baptiste waiting for the serve, now delivers. Here's Boaventura, swats it across the way. And the double hit for the Red Hawks. Narrows it to a 3-point gap. The senior Tiago Philadelphia returns to the front row. Philadelphia, Brown, and Brandau, Orellana, Carvalho, and Boaventura, the 6 on the floor for the Scarlet Hawks. Boaventura on serve. Met on the back by Connor Reardon. Pushed right to the net, where it was met by Philadelphia, who shows a little swagger as he returns to the huddle after the Milford point. And a 1-point differential now on the scoreboard. Now from the left side, and Zach Brown gets the block. Excellent net front presence. And that evens things up at 15. That student section continuing to grow for Milford. I think they've jammed about as many bodies as they possibly can into that section of the bleachers. No one has sat down, and it's just as well. I don't think there are nearly enough seats to go around for as many students who have jammed themselves into the stands. Great support for this Milford volleyball team. As right now, an ongoing conversation developing between the net front official and Coach Sujo. It has been very clear since early on in the second set that the Natick coaching staff has been very displeased with this officiating crew. Been a lot of arguments as now that ball mishandled, held onto by Connor Reardon. And this is an opportunity here presenting itself for the Scarlet Hawks. Another point in which we see this Natick team right on the edge of losing their composure. Milford needing to pounce. They're on top now 16-15. Can they go on that run? Sinking serve for Boaventura, and just beyond the reach of the front row. A good looking serve, and even better return for Natick, and that knots it up at 16. And a chance now for Will Landry to settle it down for the visitors. Landry to the near sideline, played by Boaventura. Now Tiago Philadelphia loads up, beats that front row to the punch. Puts Milford back on top. The bench loves it. Coach Mainini trying to get the right game ball in play. Finally gets it to Matt Daig. Daig serve right to Waltzman. Now the blast to the back row, and Daig got his hands on it. Could not control it. This all-important third set tied up again now at 17. Natick did have a 5-point lead at one point in this set. That rally whistled dead. Zach Brown finishing his opportunity, but the point going to the Red Hawks, who now take an all-important 18-17 lead. Now Philadelphia, he gets that one past the dive of Waltzman. Zach Brown will get a rest on the sidelines. So Orlana Pickett and Philadelphia up front. Carvalho, Boaventura, and Randy Monahan on serve. Monahan's been good in this match. Brendan Carroll has been good as well. Drops that kill in front of the reach of Boaventura. The lead once again swings to the Natick Red Hawks. Carvalho pops that one up for Josh Orlana. Pickett with the return, and Natick sneaking that one past the leap of Philadelphia. And now a crucial turning point for Milford. A little frustration after that missed chance. A 2-point lead for Natick. And Waltzman misfires on the serve. A break for the Scarlet Hawks. And a 20-19 score. And out on the floor for the first time tonight is Nathan LeBlanc. Arcs that serve over. Now the deflection off of Pickett. And Carvalho a nice bid, but he couldn't get there. Uneasy moments in the late stages of the third set right now. A hush over the crowd. Brett Olin on serve for the Red Hawks. Here's Pickett. Changes up the speeds. This time Natick was prepared for it. And the Red Hawks get the deflection off the front row of the Scarlet Hawks. And momentum has swung yet again firmly in the favor of the Natick Red Hawks. They take a 22-19 lead. And on the verge of taking a 2-1 lead unless Milford can rally here late in the third set. We'll see what they can do coming out of this next timeout here on Milford TV. The Red Hawks need just 3 points for the set as we return from the timeout. Another serve from Olin. And pushed forward by Monahan. Not a great setup and a held ball as it turns out. And again, the fans imploring a rally as that drops just long. Milford with a dangerous chance there, as that was close, but it was outside that back line. And so a 23-20 score. And Milford once again turns to Tiago Carvalho on serve, needing to climb back into these late points. And a rifle from the left side. Again, it was Brendan Carroll. And he has put Natick right on the verge of a set 3 victory, 24-20. And Carroll will serve it and delivers it just a few inches behind that back line. And Josh Orellana will now take over on serve with absolutely no margin for error. Sends it carefully back to the Natick libero. The block up front for Milford. They'll try it again from the left side. Natick does. They get the deflection off the front row and out. And Natick with a 25-21 win in set number 3. And so Natick back on top in this match. 1 set away from advancing on to the Division I Central Championship round. And more to discuss on the Milford sideline in between sets. A quick break here on our coverage, and we will return with set number 4, again in this Division I Central semifinal round of the MIAA playoffs here on Milford TV. Once again, we welcome you into the Milford Gym, site of the semifinal round of the D1 Central semifinals, where Milford finds themselves down 2-1 as we enter into set number 4 and able to grab the first point. Every single set has been close. Natick was able to gain a bit of separation in the late stages of the first set to earn the 25-17 victory. Milford just barely edging out set 2, 25-23. And then Natick just moments ago winning set 3, 25-21. But we have rarely seen a lead expand beyond 4 or 5 points. It's typically hovered around a 1 or a 2 point margin. Tiago Carvalho with a dive. Orellana also racing after that loose ball and looked to be favoring the left shoulder after he went down. This has been a physical grind of a game. And hot, steamy conditions here in the Milford gym as well. They have the outside doors open outside the gym to try to bring some air circulation, but it is a steamy night here in the gymnasium. These fans trying to deal with the conditions, and the players trying to keep their energy up as well, trying to stay hydrated. And for Milford, trying to stay in this match, they need it to go a full 5 if they're going to have a chance. Tied at 2 now as Carvalho takes over on serve, drops it in front of Reardon, but he was able to make the play. And then Natick gets the kill. That was Brendan Carroll with that dig, I should say. Serve now from Daniel Baptiste, fires into the net. This crowd has not thinned out at all. If anything, it has continued to grow as the match has gone on. The alumni section across the way continuing to flip sides of the floor along with the team, showing their support. This has been the Milford athletic community at its finest, as that ball came awkwardly, that time off the hands of Connor Reardon, but Natick recovers. Here's Boaventura, blasts it off the hands of Landry and Schmidt up front. And the Scarlet Hawks back on top, 4-3. Here is Orellana. See if that shoulder gives him any more trouble as this set goes along. Look to be fine on that serve. Now they set it up for Boaventura, again trying to beat that front row. Quick hands by Landry, keeps it alive. Now he gets the hard deflection, and Orellana again goes down hard, head first towards the wall. Could not make the play. Evens the setup at 4. And the serve now from Landry. Comes right to the side of the net. Milford is able to return. Waltzman with a dive. Now the deflection off the Milford front row. Sam Waltzman keeping that alive for the Red Hawks. The fans doing their job again as Landry releases another serve. Carvalho now to Boaventura, right into the midsection of Waltzman. Carvalho pops it straight up. Orellana, the diving set for Boaventura, and that one rejected. Garrett Schmidt in on the block. Schmidt, their lengthiest net front presence. A 6-4 lead now for Natick. Boaventura, quick reactions. His initial shot was blocked. Somehow Natick keeps that one off the floor. Now Landry going as far as he could go. Maximum effort on both sides of the floor. An unreal play just to keep that up in the air for a chance for the Red Hawks. Amazing concentration, but in the end, the point goes to Milford. Our crew still having a good time as we go later into the evening. Dynamic duo of Mike Sperling and Igor Freeman helping us out tonight. Here's Zach Brown, dug out by Natick. Now the deflection off the hands of Brett Olin off towards his bench. And Milford ties it up at 6. These are two heavyweight fighters right in the center of the ring, giving each other their best blows. And right now it is knotted up at 6. It is Natick with the upper hand in the matchup, 2-1. The winner of this match will face off against Lincoln Sudbury in the Division I Central Finals. which will be played out at Shrewsbury High School on Tuesday night next week. Will it be the Scarlet Hawks or will it be the Natick Red Hawks playing for that sectional final? It would be the second year in a row, the third year in a row that Natick would play for a sectional title if they were to advance. In 2017, Natick winning that sectional final. They went on to play Westfield in the state semifinals, where they came up short. Last year, after Natick defeated Milford in the semifinal round, they went on to defeat Lincoln Sudbury in the sectional final, but once again went down in the state semis. They lost to Needham. Needham was the team that emerged with a division title out of the Bay State League, in which Natick is also a participant. Needham finishing in first, Newton North in second, and Natick in third, despite that impressive 12-4 record. So they face off against top-notch competition in their league schedule all year long. Here's Philadelphia now with the power move up front. Beats the block. And once again, while we have a moment, we want to welcome in all of our viewers who have been tuned into this match via the live stream app. We've had good numbers on the live stream for this D1 Central semifinal. Happy to have you with us, and you're tuned in to a beauty. Milford with the 7-6 advantage in this fourth set at the moment. Now set up for an off-balance shot at the net for Natick. Milford there. Here's Philadelphia, and he beats Waltzman on the back row. Coach Mainini likes what he sees on the sideline. And more cleanup duty on both sides of the floor. Milford with a 2-point lead. Again, hoping for some separation, and more maintenance work needed on the Natick side of the floor before the officials are satisfied that we can continue. And Boaventura now given the go-ahead. Olin will set it up on the left side, rejected up front by Brandow. Now Carvalho to Orellana, set up for Brown. And Milford, after the block, keeps it alive. Waltzman now pushed over by Milford. Orellana with a diving play. Brandow keeps it going. Here's Philadelphia to the back row, and continuing to keep it alive is Natick, but mishandled in front. And Josh Orellana with the Superman dive to keep that play alive, and it yields a point for the Scarlet Hawks. They take a 9-6 lead here in set 4. Josh Orellana continuing to sacrifice his body to make every play he can. Another serve now from Joao Boaventura. High setup, blocked up front, read perfectly. Gabe Brandow continuing to make those big net front plays when Milford needs them most. And a 4-point lead now for the Scarlet Hawks. Popped all the way to the front of the net. Milford was there waiting. Now the deflection off towards the Natick bench. And a nice job keeping play alive. Brandow again drops it in front. Gabe Brandow continues to flex his muscles here in set number 4. And Tiago Philadelphia calls for more from the student section, and they still have plenty to give. A raucous crowd gets the stands rocking here in the Milford gym. Once again, Milford on top now 11-6. Boaventura punches another serve across the way. Now Carvalho digs it out. He'll need to return it over, and he does. Waltzman now up front for Olin. And that shot to the far sideline, and that one in. A big play for Garrett Schmid. That breaks up the streak for Milford. Now Orellana able to save the play for Milford. Now Philadelphia pops it back over. Now pushed over softly. Brendan Carroll changing up the timing. Gets it done for the Red Hawks. Couple of points in succession now for Natick. Cutting that Milford lead back down to 3. A 5-point lead now down to 3. And the serve from the senior captain, Connor Reardon. A lot of seniors on both sides of the floor that do not want to see their varsity careers come to an end tonight. But Reardon's serve short. Five seniors on the Natick side, and a lot more on the Milford side. 11 seniors in total on the Milford varsity roster, with a lot on the line. Boaventura plays that nicely. Here's Philadelphia, and that one down for a Milford point. And right back up to a 5-point lead. Matches the largest lead Milford has had in this set. Daig with another line drive serve, and loading up is Carroll. Getting that running start and thumping it down on the Milford side of the floor. Gabe Brandow now getting a rest on the sidelines after mop-up duty up front. It will be Philadelphia, Brown, and Orellana. Pickett, Carvalho, and Boaventura. Drifting to the back line on that serve by Waltzman. Philadelphia pushes that one to the back. Another setup for Carroll. Gets the deflection. It stays in play for Milford. Back to Philadelphia, who sends it too far off the back line. Milford's lead again back down to 3. And the violation on the Natick side. And here comes Randy Monahan for another service game. Punches it back to Carroll, gets it right back, but sends it just too far. And immediately talks things over with his captain, Will Landry. Captains in constant communication on both sides all night, and Carroll mishandles another Milford serve, and now a 6-point lead for the Scarlet Hawks. And Monahan a little too strong on the serve that time. Waltzman read it immediately. Barked out for everyone to stay clear. 16-11. as Olin's serve just barely made it over the net. Not pretty, but effective for the Red Hawks. Olin now right into the hands of Monahan. That one popped over. Olin in for the diving play. Orellana sends it back to Philadelphia. Olin now with the fingertips. Natick returns. Continue to feed Tiago Philadelphia on the left side. Now Carroll pops it to the back. Carvalho. Orellana now Boaventura over the middle, but sends it just in on the far sideline. From our perch across the way, it looked like it may have been out. But it stays in for a Milford point. The Scarlet Hawks continuing to apply pressure in this fourth set. Back up by 5. Now Lucas Caetano loops it too far over the back line. And Coach Mainini wanting to see Caetano immediately shake that off. And Carvalho has that go awkwardly off the hands, but Caetano was there in support. Milford returns, so Caetano right back, able to make a positive play. But Natick ends up with the point. Cutting it down to 3, and Coach Mainini is active as ever on the Milford sideline. Does not want to see his team relinquish this lead. Orellana will set it up for Boaventura, who has his shot blocked. Orellana now sends it right to the back, but Waltzman was ready. Now Milford blocks it, kept alive. Now with the fingertips, it's sent over by Connor Reardon. Natick avoiding disaster, and in the end, they're able to cut it all the way back to a 2-point deficit. Milford led by as many as 6 through the middle stages of this set, but it's gotten close once again, 17-15, as Milford calls the timeout. We will take the timeout as well. At a crucial juncture in this fourth set, Milford needs a win to force it to 5. And more action in this Division I Central semifinal after this here on Milford TV. It's been a long battle here in the Milford gym, but the energy level remains unchanged in the student section. Loud as ever as Brendan Carroll releases the serve. Now blasted to the back, and that one in. Placed well by the Scarlet Hawks. Natick cutting it from a 6-point Milford lead down to 2. Now it's back to a 3-point margin with Carvalho about to serve. Waltzman sends that off to the near sideline, but Olin ranges over to make the play. Now Boaventura. A nice effort, but too many touches on the Milford side, as it turns out. And right back down to a 2-point differential. Baptista sends his serve beyond the back line. 19-16 now. Headed down the back stretch of set number 4. Zach Brown, a brief stint on the bench, but he is back out there. Orellana delivers that right to the center of the floor where Waltzman dives for it. Olin with one hand quickly pops it back over. Now Boaventura, his blast is rejected. Orellana sets it up for him again, gets the deflection. Waltzman saves it once again, but his return drifts over the far sideline. And a 20-16 lead now for the Scarlet Hawks. 5 points away from forcing us to a full 5. And Will Landry with the kill out of the reach of Tiago Carvalho, and Landry will immediately take over on serve. The voices rise up from the student section, but Will Landry comes up with an ace. Carvalho couldn't play it, and it's a 20-18 score. And Landry now waits for the cue. The officials ready. The fans ready. Landry ready. The serve away. Carvalho to the front. Boaventura with a blast, and it deflects off the reach of Waltzman. Another kill for the senior captain, Joao Boaventura, who now readies his service game. Now set up to the left side, Milford ready. They'll reload for Natick. They pop it over, Milford able to adjust. Third time for Natick, and this time the charm. 21-19. And the serve comes to Connor Reardon. Milford trying to hang on now. Here's Philadelphia, and a nice dig, sending that one all the way back over the net was Reardon, and Milford able to get the point. Close one. 3 points away now. A 3-point lead. 3 more points and we'll see a fifth set. Daig now on serve. That one surprised Waltzman, but he was able to absorb it. And the return drifts long for Reardon. 23 for Milford, 19 for the Natick Redhawks, and Coach Sujo has no choice but to call the timeout. These fans have no plans here on this Friday night. They want to stay here for set number 5, but first we need to see set number 4 come to conclusion. Right now, a 23-19 lead for Milford. They've led for much of this fourth set by as many as 6. They lead it now by 4. This is the closest match we've seen between these two schools in a while. Again, we mentioned it, the 3-set sweep win for Natick in the playoffs last year. They won the regular season meeting earlier this year, 3-1. The last time they met in the playoffs prior to that 2018 meeting was in the D1 Central semifinals in 2013. That was the one playoff win that Milford has claimed against the Natick Redhawks. Back out of the timeout now, Daig on serve. And Natick trying to buy the call. They do. The call is a deflection. Looked very close to being a held ball over the net on the Natick side. And right now, Boaventura very calmly with a conversation with the official up top. Gets the final words from the official, not what Boaventura wanted to hear. As it closes now to a 23-20 score. And Sam Waltzman, the Natick libero, prepares to serve. The cheers rise up from the Milford fans as Waltzman arcs the serve to his counterpart, Tiago Carvalho. Philadelphia gets the deflection off the front. It glances off and out of play, and Milford now stares at a set point here in the fourth. 24-20. And Randy Monahan now will try to slam the door and send us on to set number 5. A couple of bounces for the senior. The serve away. Olin will set it up on the left side, but it's misplayed up front. A rare misplay for Brendan Carroll. And that finishes it out 25-20. The Scarlet Hawks emerge with a set 4 victory, and we're not done yet. We will see a full 5 sets in this Division I Central semifinal. It's only fitting to worthy adversaries on the court tonight. And a race to 15 points in the 5th set will begin in just a moment. Coverage of this MIAA tournament continues right here on Milford TV. We are now 2 hours deep into this Division I Central semifinal. And where we stand right now is exactly where we stood when this match began, dead even. Natick taking sets 1 and 3, Milford taking sets 2 and 4, and now a 5th and deciding set. The winner of this set will advance to the sectional final where they will meet up against Lincoln Sudbury. And the race to 15 points begins here on Milford TV. Tim Coet delighted to be bringing you a classic playoff battle between 2 powerhouse volleyball programs, 2 worthy adversaries on the floor, Milford and Natick. And who will emerge with their ticket punch to Shrewsbury High School for Tuesday night's sectional final? We'll find out in moments as Natick releases the first serve of this 5th set. And Carvalho with some quick hands to keep play alive. But Milford ultimately cannot get the return. And the first point goes to the Natick Redhawks. Brett Olin, the captain, on serve for Natick. Orellana will set it up for Boaventura, who drops it right into the center of the floor, beyond the diving reach of Sam Waltzman. And tied at 1. And this is where we'll see where Milford has learned from their mistakes in the regular season. The last time Milford played a 5-setter was in their regular season finale against Lawrence, where they pushed it to 5. They had a big lead in that 5th set that they allowed to slip away. Baptiste trying to give the rejection up front, but Milford keeps it going. Now pushed across the way, Milford rejects it, but drops it in just wide to the far side. And a 2-1 lead. Everyone doing everything they can to maintain traction in this hot and humid gymnasium. The serve now for the junior Brendan Carroll. Carvalho, Orellana weaving his way over to play it. And Philadelphia finishes it and once again implores the decibel level to increase in the stands. An exchange of points here through the first 4. And tied up at 2. The serve away now for Matt Daig. Set up on the right side, and too strong was Will Landry. Now Daniel Baptiste just gets the clearance over the net. A setup for Philadelphia, rejected by Landry. He's made some big plays, but no, not that time. The officials rule it in Milford's favor. And a big swing, it ties it up at 3. Now Randy Monahan He's earned a good deal of playing time on the floor tonight. Swats that serve over in the direction of Carroll. And now this time, Landry leaves nothing to chance, blasts that kill down in front of the feet of Monahan. Now that one pops off the hands of Monahan, handled by Carvalho. Dropped in by Philadelphia. Diving play up front by Olin. And now Boaventura pushes it to the front. Philadelphia, another chance. Waltzman tries for the dig. What's the call? And awarded to the Scarlet Hawks. These officials methodical here in this fifth set. They want to get it right. Tied up at 4. Here's Caetano. And that one rejected. Olin couldn't believe it. Milford stands tall up front. Pickett, Orellana, Boaventura, Monahan, Carvalho, and Lucas Caetano behind the service line, with Milford now up 5-4. And this time Caetano sends it beyond the back line. A very even start to this fifth set. Orellana pushes it back across to Boaventura. Looked like he may have found a bare spot, but Natick takes care of business and is rewarded with the point. Boaventura, nice effort. Diving to the net, but couldn't save it. And from a 5-4 Milford lead, now a 6-5 lead for the Red Hawks. Here is Connor Reardon. Battling the student section as he releases that serve. Now Pickett, Clayton Pickett, another big play. Gets some love from his coach as he marches to the sideline. Gabe Brandow returns to the floor now for the Scarlet Hawks, who's had so many huge moments up at the net. Carvalho to the near side. Now the long setup, popped over softly by Natick. No one wants to make a mistake in this fifth set. Boaventura with two hands pushes it over. Now Olin tries to swat it down. And the infraction on the Milford side. Seven to 6 now for the Red Hawks. And too far off the back line. Waltzman misfires on the serve, and we're knotted up again. Back and forth we go. Zach Brown back out onto the floor. Orellana behind the service line. Drifting over is Olin. Hard shot from Carroll. And off beyond the near sideline. Could not be returned for Natick. And a flip of the floor now here at the midway point of the fifth set. Milford with the 1-point advantage at 8-7. And the alumni leaving nothing to chance despite the quick change. Still taking the opportunity to stay on the same side as their team. And the student section continuing to stay loud, continuing to stay engaged, trying to will this team on to a trip to the sectional final. Orellana anxious for this fifth set to continue. Body still shifting on the alumni side of the floor. An all-out war between two proud programs. Continuing now in the 5th set off the serve from Orellana. Set up for Carroll. Carvalho with an excellent play. Set up for Boaventura. He pops it over and splits the Red Hawks side of the floor. And Milford now with a 2-point edge, up 9-7. And we're going to get a timeout now on the floor. Milford with a surge of adrenaline as we come down to the home stretch of what has been a simply sensational semifinal matchup. Milford leading this 5th set against Natick 9-7. We will pause ever so briefly, but much more to come. The biggest moments of this match to be played out next right here on Milford TV. Orellana ready to continue. Milford up by a pair. Carroll with a blast. And Milford trying to time that jump. Natick with the point. Cuts it back down to a 1-point Milford lead. Senior captain Brett Olin to the back row for Caetano. Now Boaventura with a blast. Does it stay in? Yes, it does. Hugging that far sideline, and Milford reaches double digits. 5 points left to get for the Scarlet Hawks. Zach Brown keeps the communication lines open on the Milford side as Boaventura releases the serve. Brandow and Brown team up at the net, but they award the point on the Natick side. They call the infraction on Zach Brown. Thiago Carvalho voicing his disagreement. Coach Mainini reining his captain in immediately. The serve away now from Carroll. Philadelphia ready, pushes it cross court. Now set up on the right side. Boaventura absorbs, Orellana sets. And Philadelphia, with a little help from the net, gets it over. Brandow up at the front. Now Carvalho. Zach Brown pushes it over. A long key rally. Carvalho punches it, and too many touches. Orellana tried to change direction mid-flight. And now Coach Mainini calls the timeout. Milford had a 2-point lead. That lead is now gone, 10-10. And now each team 5 points away from a victory. And so again, here we are at this late stage of the 5th set. Talking about it a moment ago, that match against Lawrence. Milford so close they could taste it, but could not finish it off. Ended up losing that match to close out their regular season, losing it 3-2. They ended up losing that deciding set against Lawrence 15-11. So it stayed close right down to the end. Milford needing the finish here tonight. Natick, an opportunity to lean on a high success rate against Milford in the playoffs. 4 wins in their last 5 meetings in the postseason. Milford looking to bring an end to that. As the match continues, the serve met by Carvalho. Here's Brown, and gets the hard deflection off the hands of Brendan Carroll. And Milford emerges right back on top, now 4 points away. And here comes Matt Daig. Can he put this team on one last run? Emotions riding high, and Daig cannot find his form on that serve. A costly miscue for the Scarlet Hawks. And now an 11-all tie. Can Baptiste keep his emotions in check? A clean serve met by Carvalho, now sent down by Pickett, but playable. And now drifted over, diving play by Philadelphia. They'll set it up for Brown, and that one wide to the near sideline. Just wide. And Natick jumps on top. Now the Red Hawks 3 points away. Orellana sets it up for Philadelphia. His shot blocked. Milford recovers, sets it up now for Brown, and Brown's shot rejected. And a quick swing of momentum now on the Natick side. And here we are at 13-11. Natick now stands just 2 points away from a trip to the finals. And a very fast change of emotions here in the stands. The Milford fans trying to make one last stand, and you can see now in the huddle Coach Mainini with what little voice he has left after almost 2.5 hours of screaming from the sidelines, trying to rally his troops one last time. And the message delivered. Milford now ready to return to the floor. Zach Brown with a scream of "let's go." It's Philadelphia, Orellana, and Pickett. And the three captains in the back, Brown, Carvalho, and Boaventura. Milford now trails by a pair. Daniel Baptiste palms the volleyball, waiting to continue his service game. Sends it away to Thiago Carvalho. Now pushed across for Philadelphia. That glances off the net and out of play. The point for the Natick Red Hawks, and now a match point for the Natick Red Hawks. 14-11. A serve away for Baptiste, played by Carvalho. Pushed across for Carvalho, and it is sent by Thiago Philadelphia wide to the far side. And that is the end of the semifinal matchup, 15-11. And the Natick Red Hawks absolutely stunning the Scarlet Hawks here in the late stages of this fifth set. It looked to be set up for a Milford victory. But the Red Hawks take control and they win this game. They outlast the Scarlet Hawks in a full 5. And Milford barely able to contain the emotions now as they enter into the handshake line with Natick. Again, absolutely superb play on both sides of the net. So many huge plays in huge moments for both of these teams, but Natick able to make the key plays they needed to make in the fifth set to claim the victory. And so Natick will move on to the Division I Central Finals, where they will meet up against Lincoln Sudbury and the Scarlet Hawks team after an outstanding regular season and a terrific playoff run. It comes to an end here tonight in the Milford Gym, as again, Milford falls to the Natick Red Hawks by a final score of 3-2. And so that wraps up the season for the Scarlet Hawks. And just as the fans saluted the seniors, we have to do the same. Outstanding work by this large group of seniors, double-digit seniors on this roster that battled all season long. And an outstanding trio of captains as well, in Thiago Carvalho, Joao Boaventura, and Zachary Brown. But sadly, this playoff run comes to an end for the Scarlet Hawks. And that wraps up our coverage for the night. A huge thank you to our Milford TV crew battling the heat and battling the fans at times to bring you this coverage tonight. Our director and statistician, Igor Freeman, and our camera operator, Mike Sperling. And I am Tim Coette. That final score, one final time. A full 5 sets tonight, but Natick edges out the Scarlet Hawks by a final of 3-2, and the season comes to an end for the Milford Scarlet Hawks boys volleyball team. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.